Hello and welcome back to the Everyday Ceremony. Today we have a fantastic guest, Francisco Lagos, yogi, therapist, massage magician, I would say. And we are talking about healing. How do we approach healing? What are the important things to keep in mind when it comes to healing? And what are maybe the letdowns and slippery slopes that we gotta be aware about when it comes to start healing our physical body, mind, emotions, and spiritual essence? So make yourself comfortable and enjoy this expansive and deep conversation and exploration of healing. Oh, hello, Francisco. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ted. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm really looking forward to have this conversation with you. And I'm curious because your life kind of revolves around yoga and therapy and helping people and health and healing and everything that is connected to that. So kind of how do you see that whole reality of healing yourself in that realm, like from your experience? Like what are certain things that people need to keep in mind and are maybe challenged by when it comes to healing themselves or receiving healing services from you or other facilitators?
Well, um, one of the things you said is like, what are some things that people need to keep in mind? And that reminds me of something my teacher said in India. He's an Ayurvedic doctor, and he told me that every disease, every illness starts in your mind, right? So everything starts in your head. And so I always thought that was really interesting because we also have like the placebo effect, right? When people do, like when scientists and chemists do these experiments with pills, they give you a sugar pill and then they give you the actual pharmaceutical pill. And a lot of people who take the sugar pill feel a lot better. Their symptoms subside. They feel better. They feel happier. They feel more at ease. Their pain goes away. And that's the placebo effect, right? And it all starts with your mind. It all starts with your mind. And so I think that's one of the most important things to acknowledge is what's going on in your mind. Um, Whatever it is that you're going through, whether it's a digestive problem or whether it's a physical pain, physical ailment, whether it's a disease, um, it all takes root in the mind. So what caused it? What happened? Was it some trauma that you went through? Was it an experience that you keep reliving in your mind? Or are you having these toxic thoughts as well that are causing stagnation of chi energy in your body?
Hmm.
So I always think that's really interesting. And so I always connect with my clients. That's the very first thing. Have a nice conversation with my clients and see how they're doing and see how they're like genuinely doing. Like, because I always start out like, "Hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Thanks. How are you?" I'm like, "I'm good." But obviously, especially here in America, everyone says I'm good. Everyone says I'm fine. But then once they get on my massage table or my massage mattress, or they come into my room, my studio, I ask them, okay, so what brings you in today? What's going on with your body? How's work been these days? And that's when the actual therapy starts. Listening to how they speak is also very interesting because a lot of them speak very, some of them are almost out of breath. Oh my God, this, no, 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 no. They're talking so quickly, they're out of breath. And so that tells me that their vata energy, their wind energy is really high, which means their mind isn't calm. And so that tells me already anxiety, stress, most likely not sleeping well, probably gets headaches and migraines, probably lots of digestive issues as well. Um, so that's always how like the session begins, just really connecting with the client, seeing how they're doing, observing how they're doing, because their words may say one thing, but their energy, their body movements says a whole different story. And
Hmm.
so I always connect with that first, like observing them, seeing them, listening to them speak. And then, as they're on the table, that's when like they really begin to open up more. I get to feel the body, the tension in the back, the shoulders, and then they slowly begin to release more and open up more. And so I always like connecting with them, depending on who they are. Sometimes I connect with them more on the mental level, on the spiritual level, but I know that not everyone's ready for that. So then I connect with them first on the physical level. So I'm like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
you got some knots here on your back. Oh, you got some low back pain. And then I find a way to connect that with their mind or their, yeah, like their stress levels or like relationships, work, like what's going on there. And then we kind of get to like the bottom of things, whether it's, work related, relationship related, emotionally related. Um, but eventually it all connects with the mind. And I
Mhm.
find that really interesting.
So either way, or if I hear you right, like you work a lot with the body itself, but like you actually go through the body into the mind, because in the mind there is kind of the root cause of whatever is happening within the body.
You
So
get
it's
so
the
many
body is communicating the symptoms in a certain way, right? And then you go down that alley and see like, okay, what's actually beneath that? You said like trauma. So it's like not just mind, oh, what am I thinking right now? Like what are my conscious thoughts, but like what is stored within the subconscious mind? What is stored within the ancestral lineage? What is stored within that person's or that soul's experience over lifetimes, and how does that manifest right now?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The mind conveys a lot of information. The body is a reflection of the mind. The body is a
Hmm.
mirror of the mind. And it's so that this is why I love doing what I do because it's just so fascinating seeing the physical body and then getting to know them on a mental level too. And seeing that bridge, seeing that
Hmm.
connection of like, wow, their mind is here, but because their mind is so sometimes so wild or, you know, fluctuating a lot, the body is too. And then on the contrary, when I meet someone that has a really cool body, like their connective tissue is very soft, very limber, their back is very straight, and then I'm just like, whoa, like they eat well, they exercise, they sleep well, and I talk to them like, hey, well, like, what do you do for work, or like, do you exercise? She's like, oh yeah, I exercise all the time. Oh yeah, I eat pretty healthy, and I know they're a healthy person, and their mind, like the way they speak, the way they communicate, everything seems so healthy and so balanced, and that's also a reflection of their body. Like some people have like
Hmm.
the most amazing pristine bodies, and then their minds are just so calm and so balanced, and it's really amazing to work with all types of people. Those that are balanced and just come for like a massage every now and then. They don't need any deep work, and then others that need a lot of deep work. And wow, it's just boom. It's so interesting. It's so fascinating. I love it.
I, I have a question about the good looking people. um like what no, because what do you mean by like they have pristine bodies? Like just by the looks of it, or when you touch them and you feel like, as you said, the connective tissue and all of that? Because I
Yeah,
feel like oftentimes people can look very good, but
yeah,
actually the looking good is an escape from actually what is hidden in the mind. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
exactly.
oftentimes I see that it's kind of, it looks good, but then when you go a little deeper, then you feel like, oh shit, there is stuff there, and like they're trying to hide and trying to avoid and trying to build this shield of a good looking body to actually hide what's actually underneath it. So maybe you could go a little bit deeper into what you mean by like a
That's
pristine body.
that's actually a really good question because I kind of take my practice for granted in the sense that I've worked with hundreds of bodies. I've worked with hundreds of people. So I'm very familiar as to how a feet should feel or can feel or should how they can feel or legs or hips or back. So I'm used to all these types of bodies and I know when someone has a stiff back or a very limber flexible back. The fascia, the connective tissue that surrounds and protects the muscle. For on some people, it can be very rigid, very hard, like a rock, like stone. And on other people, it's very soft and flexible and it flows. When it's flexible, kind of like a sponge, not too sponge-like, but like nice and soft and malleable, that means there's lots of blood flowing in there.
Hmm.
As blood keeps the tissue nice and moist. nice and soft. When there's no blood flowing, meaning there's no chi or prana energy flowing, the tissue becomes rock solid. And this is, for example, like if you're on the computer all day long like this, your chi on your shoulders and your upper back will become tense. But if you
Mm-hmm.
move around super limber and flexible, that chi energy through your shoulders and your upper back continues to flow. And so working on all these different people, I can feel the stagnation in their body, like physically. By touching them, I can feel them. So one thing, like you said, yeah, you look beautiful, you look cute, pristine. But when I talk about beautiful, I just love a beautiful body that, wow, the connective tissue is so soft, the spine is so aligned, the hips are super flexible and limber because I do a lot of body mobility too. And then the other thing I do is a lot of reflexology and acupressure. So I do a lot of thumb pressing and holding on the hands or on the feet. And some people don't feel anything; they feel fine. Other people, I
Mm-hmm.
touch them and they're in so much pain, right? Because that means again there's a stagnation of chi. And so when I work on a body that's not in too much pain, I'm like, whoa, like they've done a lot of work in their life, or they've done a lot of work in their previous lives. And I always see this too. I meet a lot of people, and sometimes I meet guys and they have like such flexible hips. They can do full lotus, no problem. They've never done yoga before. They don't even stretch. They can do full lotus. That for me tells me that they're not holding on to a lot of trauma or a lot of emotional blockages, but they've also done a lot of work in previous lives. Right? When the hips
Mm-hmm.
are open like that, or you can do Padmasana, man, you're probably a monk, like a monk in your past life. Um, so the body says so much, and so when I talk about a
Yeah.
beautiful body, a pristine body, I don't care if you're 20 years old or 50 years old, but I can feel how open your body is, how flexible your body is. And another thing I noticed too, because I do a lot of abdominal work, so I do those abdominal detoxes or chine song, as they call it in Thailand, emotional detox massage. This massage focuses on the chi energy around the navel center. And so the navel says so many things. Depending on which direction the navel is pulling, it can tell you which side of your stomach is tight, which part of your intestines have blockages, if it's drooping. If it's nice and centered in the middle, that means the chi energy is flowing nicely. That means your energy is flowing nicely. And so I look at a lot of belly buttons as well, and some of them are closed, right? There's not a lot of chi energy flowing if the belly button is closed. Some of them is droopy, right? More of like yin energy. Some of them are really open belly buttons, right? That's more prana, more chi, yeah, more solar energy. And but also feeling the pulse around the navel. Some people have a soft pulse, some have a stronger pulse. If it's a good pulse, that means there's good blood circulating through your body. If it's very slow, it's very weak, your body doesn't have a lot of chi energy flowing through it. And so when I feel also a stomach that's like really balanced, I'm just like, whoa, like there's some stomachs that are just like, whoa, all this chi, all this prana flowing through your belly, it's incredible. And then, of course, there's other bellies that need more work. You know, there's more stagnation, there are more blockages there. And that tends to be the case for like 95% of the people don't have these pristine bodies that I talk about. But there's
Mm-hmm.
those few people that come around and I'm like, dang, you've done a lot of work. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the work that people do.
Yeah. And that's so beautiful to hear because I kind of just imagine you also like out on the beach and like other people would be looking like for six packs and you look for navels. Like you're like, oh my god, he has a good look. Like it's an open navel. Like I can already feel the chi flowing in there, and other people like, oh, he's ripped. But like it's interesting that like this perception of beauty from your standpoint has actually nothing really to do with the physical appearance and maybe how the muscles are shaped or trained or whatsoever, but really more with like, okay, if I touch that body, how does it respond? And is there actually something traveling within there, like the blood, the lymph, the chi, or
Yeah.
is it actually stagnant? And the more there is movement within the system, the more it can kind of rebalance and kind of readjust things within itself, right? Like it's how do you see this whole idea, like who is the healer? Like, are you the healer? Is the person the healer? Is the body of the person the healer? Like, who heals?
Yeah. I think a little bit of everything is a healer. But
Hmm.
going back quickly to like bodybuilders and muscles, quick
Mm.
pause. It's funny because I have worked with a lot of bodybuilders and people with a lot of muscle, and although they look beautiful and physically appealing, man, they have a lot of blockages in their body. They have so much pain in their body, and they're very rigid. They can't move. The tissue is so hard, and they can't touch their toes. And so, yeah, you may look physically appealing, and then we push these fake standards on society that a man should look like this, a woman should look like this. It's just the body's not really designed to look that way. Like unless you're hunting and running for 12 hours in a day, then maybe you should have all that muscle. But for most people, it shouldn't really be like that. Rather than that, those muscles helping you in your daily life, it's actually hindering you because you have a six pack. Your six packs have six packs, and you're on the computer all day long. Doesn't help you in your life. Doesn't help you.
Yeah.
So beauty standards versus authenticity. Like, what does the body really need? And in
Yeah.
terms of healing, I think we're all capable of healing ourselves. I think that's number one. I think we have this body with a beautiful system called homeostasis. So constantly the body is healing itself. Oh, I'm too cold. So the body begins to shiver and it creates heat. So it warms up. Or I'm too hot. The body begins to sweat. And so it cools down. We have a beautiful system of homeostasis, whether I have a fever or I'm healing from this, I'm healing from that. The body is constantly healing itself. The body is constantly killing cancer every single moment. The body is capable of healing itself. Now, the other question is, are you helping your body heal itself? That's another
Hmm.
question. Because what you eat can help you heal yourself or it can help you kill yourself, right? So if I'm going to have that delicious, sweet Starbucks every morning with 4 pumps of sugar, and trust me, I go to Starbucks and I ask them, like, how many pumps of sugar do you put in this? Oh, 4 pumps. I'm like, 4 pumps of sugar? Are you kidding me? 4 pumps of syrup? But it's like, that's like 500 calories in a cup. Most people should only consume 2,000 calories in a day. So you go to Starbucks, you get 500 calories in a cup that you finish in like a couple of minutes, and then you get your bagel. That's what, another 400, 500 calories? That's half of your calories for the entire day. No nutritional content, just saturated fats, trans fats are going to clog your arteries, and yeah, going to raise your cholesterol levels and basically just make you gain weight and mess up your digestive system. So we have that option of choosing: do we want Starbucks every single day with bread? Do we want donuts for breakfast? Or do we want something a little more nutritious for breakfast? Maybe some fruit, maybe some light porridge mixed with fiber, mixed with some seeds, maybe some healthy toast, avocado toast, maybe some eggs, and spinach. And we have the option of choosing what we're going to put into our body, what fuel, what energy we're going to put into our body. And then that in turn is either going to heal us or make our body work harder to continue healing itself. For most people, our body is working overtime trying to heal itself because, okay, we're kind of sick, but let's have this bagel, this donut, and this Starbucks with extra sugar, extra whipped cream. And then the body has to work even more overtime. And then you stop
Yeah.
by for lunch. Here in America, there's fast foods every single corner. You blink your eye, a new fast food store opens up, a new fast food restaurant opens up. So then you got 30 minutes for your lunch break. What do? You get a fast food. You get a burger, you get fries, you get soda. That's way over probably like 15, maybe 2,000 calories, right? It does nothing for your system. It does nothing positive for your system. And then now you're working overtime, overdrive to heal your body, right? So every day we have the option to nourish ourselves correctly and heal and help our body continue healing itself, or we can add more detrimental food substances to our body and make our body work just overtime. You can help yourself heal, or you can help yourself get sick. And so we're our number one healers, but we're also our number one killers. We make our own choices.
Mm.
And so what happens for most people is that we always try to strive for this balance, right? We don't want Starbucks every day. Most people want Starbucks every now and then. Most people want a donut every now and then. Most people want to slice a pizza every now and then. That's fine. But oftentimes we still need that help. We still need to see that doctor, or we still need to see that therapist. And so maybe you work construction, or maybe you injured yourself doing yoga or at the gym, trying to be healthy. So then you contact your massage therapist, like me, for example, or a physical therapist. And so then you add another element to your healing process. It's not just you, it's not just your body. Then you hire a healer to help you. And so your therapist can help you heal. I think for me, I don't like it when people think I'm their healer because it puts too much pressure on me, right? Because what if I can't heal them completely? They're going to hate me. But ultimately, I'm just the catalyst. I'm going to tell you what's going on in your body. Hey, your right hip is too tight. Maybe you're leaning too much on your right side. Maybe you're crossing your left leg over your right too much, your right over your left. Like there's something in your daily life that you're doing that's causing these imbalances in your life, right? So that's what I am. I'm just the observer. I'm observing your body. I'm touching your body, massaging your body, and telling you what's going on in your body and what I'm feeling in your body. Take it or leave it. And then I give you advice according to that. So I'm just a catalyst. I'm just an observer, and then I help you. I help you see what you can't see, or I help you confirm what you already know. Most people know. People already know their diets. People know their habits. So I just confirm them, and I give them that support, that little push, right? And so I think ultimately we're all healers, food including. And then I'm just the observer. Ultimately, if if you're very strong and very focused and willpowered, I think you can heal yourself. I think for most people, we're a tribe. We're a tribal society. We love going to other people for help too. We love going to other people for support, for moral support, for emotional support, for physical support, for nutritional support. Some people cook better than others. Some people know more about body mechanics than others. And so I think it's important to find that support. Like maybe your area of weakness is my area of expertise. And so ultimately we're all healers, but the number one healer is you. You make the choices, you you make the choices in your mind as well. And that's what one of my teachers in India was saying, that ultimately every illness, every disease starts in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell this to my clients often, like every disease starts in your mind, because if you're really sad and your vibration is very low, you're going to want that instant relief, that instant kick of dopamine. And what's going to cause that instant relief? Sugar. Sugar will make you so happy instantly. You have that chocolate, you have that ice cream, you have those fats. Fats are like our best friend, right? We love fats. And of course, there's healthy fats out there, like fats in avocados and olives and fish. But then there is most of the fats out there in processed foods. They're not good for you, but they're going to give you that rush of dopamine. They're going to make you feel so good for 30 minutes, maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours. But then you crash and you feel like garbage. You feel like complete shit. And and so that that trigger that trigger of craving that junk food or that ice cream can start in your head because you're sad and you instantly want to feel satisfied. And so it all stems from your mind too. Like, what are you feeding inside your mind? Because energy
Yeah.
input here is energy output in your external world, in your external reality.
Yeah. And I think I just want to jump in here and say, like, there's nothing wrong with feeling sad. And I don't think that that is what you want to say, but this is what people might hear. It's like, it's not about actually being sad, but it's like,
You know?
what is actually your relationship with that sadness? Like, can you allow that
Absolutely,
sadness to be there?
absolutely.
And if you can allow that to be there, then you don't need that bucket of ice cream. But, and then we come back to the mind is like, what did you actually learn about being sad? Like, is being sad not accepted? Is being sad weak, but you actually want to be strong? Like, especially for men, like you want to be strong, you gotta have your shit together, you can't just cry around. And then it's like, okay, of course, then the moment the sadness arises, the moment the anger arises, the moment the shame, the guilt, the happiness, some people have a resistance to feeling actually genuinely happy. And so they self-sabotage with some really shitty food to feel bad again because they're so used to feeling bad. So it's not just, there is so much to the mind, you know, there is so much to like what actually it means to have a quote unquote healthy mind, because there's so many factors, like there's emotions, there's all kinds of situations, there's the developmental cycles in childhood. What we learned there is safe for our physical body, for our mental body, for our emotional body. And so it's just really interesting to see that with a certain amount of openness. And I like to see it in a way that I don't really actually know what is going on in my mind. And at the same time, the body will reflect it actually back to me. It's like when I am in like a moment when I'm binge eating, you know, like I have a past of like being a big binge eater. Like food was always kind of a coping mechanism for me. And so
For
of
many
course
people.
you can,
Yeah,
for you too, right?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So there is kind of a way to
Which is why I do what I
discipline.
do.
Sorry?
Which is why I do what I do.
Same for me. Same for me. It's like without the binge eating, I would not be where I am today. But like a pathway out of it for me was, I want to discipline myself out of it. You know, like I'm just gonna stop myself in the process and be really hard on myself and be rigid and actually feel even more tense and even more stressed out because I can't go for that food that would give me at least the instant relief. But what at the end always happened is like this yo-yo effect kind of thing. Like I was able to have a grasp on myself for a couple of days, and then it was just so much pressure that it would again, like I would just completely lose my shit. And so that was interesting, then starting to actually ask those questions, like why am I actually doing this, like how am I actually feeling while I'm eating this, like what am I wanting to get out of that habit. And this can be related to food, this can be related to work, this can be related to substances, this can be related to working out. You know, I was also very addicted to working out, and actually I'm destroying my body through that healthy thing, you know, like my mind would always be like, no, this is healthy. And my shoulder blade was like, bro, we not good back here, you know? And then we bring in those different things of like connecting the body, like those physical ailments with like the energy centers in the body. And I was going to a friend of mine who's also like more in like the realm of like energy work, and he was like, bro, your shoulder, that's your heart chakra. And I was like, yeah, what do you mean by that? And he was like, dude, you're actually not really allowing yourself to be loved. And I was like, what do you mean by that? It's like, why are you working out like a crazy motherfucker? And I was like, um I don't actually know. But then over time I realized, oh, I'm working out because somewhere in my mind, I think that by having a pristine looking body, I will get love from the outside. But it never came. And so I was like working out harder and harder because I wanted that love. But what was actually the way out of that was giving myself that love in the first place. And now I can work out from a place of love and actually doing things that are good for me instead of doing things that are detrimental to my health through like a healthy pathway. And that's kind of very interesting to see that it's just like everything that was going on in my life, it was, if it was like irritable bowel syndrome, if it was the gastritis, if it was those crazy um twinched nerves and injuries and all of that that I caused myself, it was all based in the mind and mostly based in some kind of lack of love or appreciation or just feeling enough within myself. And that's just to add from my personal experience, it was just like, yeah, it was always the mind.
I hear that, and that's that. That's something that I've observed within myself when I'm crazy stressed or busy or going through a lot of emotional turmoil and problems or a breakup, my body is always in pain. Like I wake up, oh my neck hurts, oh my shoulder hurts, oh my knee hurts. And I'm like, why does my body hurt if I'm doing everything healthy? I'm eating well, I'm exercising, I'm doing yoga. And then I realize, oh my goodness, I've been going through so much emotionally and dealing with stress and dealing with this that my body is just literally just holding on to everything. And so that's a pattern that I've seen in my life. When my body is going through a lot of physical pain, I know there's a lot of maybe emotional pain here, maybe a lot of stress going on. And I've connected that also in my work as well when I work with my clients. You know, if they're going through a lot of
Hmm.
physical pain, then what's also going up here? And
Yeah,
oftentimes, once we delve deeper into their story, it's due, oh, trauma or family related or boyfriend, husband related or, something stressful in life. And so
yeah.
it's all connected. It's all connected. The body speaks
I
for
would
you.
like,
If you can't speak, the body will speak for you.
yes, definitely. That's for sure. And so it's beautiful to have somebody as a support system, as you said, who can actually assist you in reading the signs of your body. Because one of the interesting things is that I was always very fast to blame my body, you know? I was like
Mhm.
saying, oh, digestive issues, meaning my body is not working properly, you know? And I was kind of separating myself from my body. It's like, oh, my shoulder, like nerve is twinged. It's like, oh, fucking shoulder blade, you know? Where it's like, no, it's actually, it's just communicating, you know? Like this is literally your
Your
voice in a
body's
certain way.
alive. Your body's alive. And that's an amazing
Yeah.
thing. Pain is actually a good thing because you want your body to communicate with you. Like, hey, Tim, stop doing that. Or,
Yeah.
hey, stop eating that. You know, your
Yeah.
body is an amazing communicator. We just don't listen. Oh, I got so much pain here, so much back pain. Your body is telling you something. Your body is communicating with you.
Yeah.
And once we learn how to speak that, literally that body language, we're going to be able to live more symbiotically with our body.
Yeah. And I think it's also interesting to listen, like to deepening the listening capacity to your body, where oftentimes we have back pain, let's say like middle back pain, and then it's like, oh yeah, we lifted something, and then it's like, oh yeah, that must have been it, you know, like that whatever we lifted was the bag. My gym bag was too heavy, and that's why I have middle back pain. But then if we look in there and it's like, what is actually in that area, like beneath the skin, beneath the muscles, maybe even beneath the spine, is like, oh, we got organs there. We got kidneys there. We got the adrenal glands there. What are they there for? Like, are they maybe exhausted? Like, what are you doing to your kidneys all day long? What are you doing to your adrenal glands all day long? Are you stressed all the time? Are they maybe literally just burned out and now you have that middle back pain to finally chill out and take some time for the adrenals to like recalibrate and to relax and actually come back into homeostasis? But then it's mostly like, oh no, it's like got the back pain, so that means I gotta train my back more and whatsoever. And it's like, no, 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 no. Actually, it's like you don't need to do more. Like oftentimes it's literally our body asking for that break because our body can actually come back into homeostasis. Like that is its natural state, right? Like homeostasis is where the body left by itself, like same like nature. If we don't interfere with nature, nature is in homeostasis. Our body is a part of nature, so if we don't interfere with the body, our body is in homeostasis. And so it's interesting to see how my in my own reality, but also working with people, if the body is quote unquote acting out and something is happening within the body, we want to fix it as fast as possible to come back on track. But then
Right.
it's like that's actually a stress. Like if you stress out about healing,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
preventing your healing.
Catch 22, right? I want to be
Yeah.
healed now. No, sweetie, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time, And I see that. I see that in my clients too. Like, they come to me, oh, my back hurts. I'm like, okay, how long has it been hurting for? 10 years, 15 years. I
Hmm.
get that often. I get that often.
Wow.
My back has been hurting for 10 years. I'm like, have you gotten a massage before? No, never. Have you sought treatment before? Oh, I've gotten medication for it. It's done nothing. And I'm just like, whoa, your back has been in pain for 10, 15 years and you haven't done any type of physical therapy. And so then you got to be realistic with your clients too and give them like real expectations. I'm like, listen, you've been in pain for 10, 15 years. It's going to take more than one session to heal you. And then it's going to take a huge part on your end as well. So we can get that back into shape. And so I'm always like very realistic. Do the first session, assess them, feel out their body, reflexology, back massage, body mobility. I give my clients exercises to do at home. And the reason why I love giving my clients homework is because if they do the homework, that means they're serious. They want to get better. Most of them will not do the stretches you recommend them. Most of them will not do the homework. And that tells me a lot about them too, that they're not
Hmm.
really serious. They want the easy way out. Heal me. And if you don't heal me, you're a terrible therapist. It's your fault, you know? Um, and so I make sure that people are held responsible for their own body because it is your body. And so what patterns are you doing? What habits are you recreating? And what are you going to do to get into a better position, a better posture, and better shape? And so I give my clients homework because I also want to see how serious they are. And if they do the homework, I want to work with them. I love working with
Hmm.
people who do their homework. I love working with people who want to get better, who really want to get better. And I don't always want to attract the people that just want you to heal them because they want the easy way out and they're not taking responsibility of their lives and they're not taking responsibility of their bodies. And so when you're not fully aligned with healing your body, it's going to make my job a lot more difficult because you want me to heal you on Monday when you see me like maybe once a month or something, once a year. Like what are you doing throughout those other days of the week, throughout those other hours? And that's going to determine how quickly you're going to heal. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and so that I always find that really interesting too in terms of like who really wants to heal. If you do some of the work, amazing. I want to work with you because you're serious. You care about yourself. You care about your body.
Yeah. And there will be on the other side of that, there will be so much more empowerment than when it's just like, oh yeah, Francisco healed me, but I actually don't really know what's going on and I don't really know how to maintain that and whatsoever. That's kind of like that's a codependent relationship where there's not really empowerment there for the person itself. It's just like, oh yeah, Francisco, the holy man, with his holy hands and his holy fucking massage table and is making all his holy stuff. Whereas like, no, actually, if Francisco's really a holy man, then he will tell you, bro, figure your shit out. Like you gotta take responsibility for your stuff.
I
Like what you're
I
doing, what you're
must.
thinking, what you're feeling. It's like it's all important. It all matters. Like,
Absolutely.
and so it's helping people come more into their own experience and not just be the victim of like, oh my god, this just happened. It's like, did it really just happen? Like, did it really just happen? And oftentimes you get a certain predisposition from your parents of like, your parents are really stressed out. You will not be born with 100% adrenal gland and kidney health. Like, probably your kidneys and your adrenals will already be taxed. The same goes for the gut, the same goes for the heart, the same goes for the liver, the same goes for all the other glands and organs in your body. And so it's like also seeing like, oh, of course I have those kind of issues. Like when I look into my family lineage and like what's been going on there, all the trauma that has accumulated and stuff. Oh, I gotta be extra gentle. Like I gotta take extra care of myself. What is really going to change something within your experience is taking responsibility and being like, oh, yes, this is maybe not my fault, but it's also not about figuring out whose fault it is. But I got this probably for a certain reason, probably to learn a certain lesson. And maybe it is actually for me to be really extra gentle with myself. to really start taking care, to break that generational pattern of exhausting ourselves and not taking care about ourselves and not honoring our bodies. I actually came into this world with a little bit of a fucked up system to take responsibility, to come back, to allow actually that human vessel to come back into homeostasis and not be like chased down by the mind, overworking, overeating, overdoing things in general, but like slowing down. And that's been something for me that has been so incredible to witness within myself, is that I was all about health in my mind, but I would just actually overdo it. Like I would stress out so much about the workouts, about the stretching, about the nutrition, about the meditation. And I was actually chasing myself from one practice to another, that I was not really allowing my body to communicate what it really needed. And so I was giving it way more in a certain way than it needed, but that was not really helping. And so for me, it's been interesting to see that on this healing journey, oftentimes less is more. And it like the gentler and the softer and the slower I actually move, the more my body communicates that back in a way of like, I like that, Tim. Like, this is great. Like, okay, you're taking a day off. Fantastic. Like, you're not doing your practice every single day, and you're listening to what I really want from you or what I really need in this moment. Sweet. I like that. And so it's interesting that we can get caught up in like all those healthy things, and then being like, oh yeah, and now I also got to be financially independent, and I got to be this and that, and we want to be so independent and so ahead that we oftentimes just get ahead of ourselves and run away from our body and our mind. And that's what's then actually causing so much dis-ease within our system, is that we're actually not really here with our bodies, not really listening, not really listening the intuition, but being somewhere up there in the clouds in our head, and like in the future already. And so I found that very interesting, how the slowing down and how the becoming more gentle actually allowed my body to heal so much, instead of doing more and doing this and doing that and over here. And yeah, just being engaged or trying to be engaged in everything, in all the healing modalities. There's like sometimes more just allowing things to be the way that they are actually helps the body a lot to have less resistance and more flow again, and more like, oh yeah, we can allow that to move right now.
Mhm. Yeah, I believe that definitely less is more. Less is more, especially when it comes to the body. Um, One of my friends would always say, everything in moderation, including moderation. If you're working out every single day, you got to give your body that break. You got to give that body that break to recover, to heal itself. And if you're always running around, going to work every single day, and then doing the gym, and then running to the next place, and then doing this and doing that, eventually you get to that point where you burn out and you crash. And it can be the flu, the cold, fever, but you're done. And so your body is literally forcing you to stop. And you don't want to slow down because you want to make more money. You want to build more muscle. You want to get leaner. You want to do this. You want to do that, make more money, do all this. But your body's going to force you to stop. And so listen to your body. Your body is constantly communicating to you. Your body is constantly sending you signals. And so less is more. And this is why one of my favorite yoga practices is Hatha yoga, as it's taught traditionally in India. It's such a
Mhm.
slow practice, so freaking slow. I remember when I was doing Hatha yoga in India, all my Western classmates would leave the class. All my European classmates and the Americans, they would just run out of class. It was just like three of us, four of us left out of like a class of like 20 something. They're like, oh, it's too slow, it's too boring. But it's so challenging for the Western mind to hold an asana, to hold a pose for 3 minutes.
Hmm.
Like, okay, what am I doing here? Why am I standing here for 3 minutes? Why am I in downward facing dog for 2 minutes? Why am I in tree pose for 2 minutes? It's so boring. A lot of people love that fast yoga like vinyasa. People love that. My teachers in India would roll their eyes every time someone mentioned vinyasa. Like, oh, vinyasa, don't talk about vinyasa to me. I don't like it. It's just like they didn't
Hmm.
like it because it was so fast. And they're like, that's not yoga, you know? And for them, it was always like hatha yoga, hatha yoga, hatha yoga. Hatha means, that balance, that yin, that yang energy, that sun, that moon energy. And I never understood how incredible hatha was until I practiced it for like a couple of weeks frequently, like not every single day, but like 5 times a week. A slow rhythmic flow of hatha, slow sun salutation, followed by maybe a moon salutation, and then a couple of asanas, like 10 asanas, 12 asanas. I did that for a couple of weeks. My mind slowed down so much that everything was just functioning in society was very different. Because then I noticed that, whoa, everyone is running, everyone's nonstop. And right now, my mind is just so slow that I'm just like, hmm. And then my teacher would mention that. She would mention that once you do hatha for a long time, it's kind of like hard integrating into like a Western society because everything just slows down so much. Your breath is slow, your thoughts are slow, and it's just like you're very observant. You don't talk a lot either. Like you're just so like your mind is on a different frequency. Like one of my teachers in India would tell me, like, don't waste your time talking. He would do I forgot the name of the mudra. Maybe it was Shambhari mudra, but the one with the tongue in the back of your throat towards like your third eye. You just stick your tongue in the back of your throat as if you're trying to shove your tongue up to your third eye. He would tell me do that every single day. He was just like do that every single day, and it's like an ancient yogi tradition where it helps to release the nectar from your third eye, but it also kind of just like calms you down. It helps you focus and calm down. But man, going slow is so important. It's so important. And that's something that I've struggled with living, back in the US because everyone requires you to go fast. And I remember working at this other location where I would work. They would want me to work fast, and I would see everyone like running from place to place, and I'm just walking, I'm just taking my time, just walking. I don't, I was like, I'm not gonna stress myself at work. I'm here to provide therapy for people. Like, I'm not gonna run. Like, I'm gonna take my time, attend to my clients' needs. But why am I gonna put myself in a stressful situation to unstress my clients?
Yeah.
I like taking it slow. Not always easy, especially when I drive a lot, but when I can, I love slowing down. I love taking things slowly.
Yeah. And I think especially when your work is in that whole realm of providing a service to people and like especially like helping them, supporting them in their journey of stressing less, it's like, why am I stressing so much about helping other people stress less? Like, how is that going to work? Like that is not going to work out on an energetical level at all. And like, I know this as well. It's like when I got into the whole coaching realm whatsoever and I did those courses, everyone was all about like, okay, you got to get those 10K months and you got to have at least 10 clients every month who pay you $1,000 each. And so when you're not having client calls, then you got to be all over like whatever it is, like Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook, and like doing reach outs and like sending cold DMs and like getting more and more clients, because then you will have more and more money and then you can serve them more and more. And in the beginning I was like, okay, fucking let's do it. And very quickly I realized, oh, but like actually this is not really aligned at all with what I want to provide. And so I also like it's a challenge for me to do it slow, because my mind is also like very active in a way of like, oh yeah, but if you would do this and that today, then you could probably have more followers or more clients or more this or more that. But then it's like, what would I do with those people? Like then I would be stressed out more, and I would like put that stressed out energy onto those people. And it's like, then I would not be helping them at all. And so the slower approach, and just trusting that I will have the clients in the times that I need, in the times that I actually have the capacity to serve them. It's interesting to see that the more I slow down and the more I take care about myself, and like really focus on what do I need today, like not what do I need to do to get more clients, but what do I need today. Clients come out of nowhere.
Oh my God.
People asking for help come out of nowhere, and it's just like, how the fuck did you find me?
Your
Sometimes they don't
vibration
even
will
know.
attract them. Your vibration, your energy, your magnetism will attract them. And that's something that I've noticed too with myself. When I'm feeling like shit, or I'm not in the greatest mood, and my mind's not there, it gets quiet. My business slows down. My therapy sessions slow down. And I'm like, well, that makes sense, because honestly, I don't feel like massaging right now. I feel like, being here with me and taking care of myself. And then once I get my shit together and just, start like meditating and yoga and I feel good, people start calling me out of the blue. Like, hey, Francisco, you got time for a massage? Like, hey, Francisco, boom, it just comes. And I find that so interesting, just that magnetism that like how we attract people. You can't
Yeah.
force it. You can't force it. If your energy is right, they will look for you. They will come. I've noticed that a lot in my life, and that's interesting. If my energy is here, like high, clients keep coming. They start coming. They call back. I get all these returns, or old clients I haven't seen in a long time to call me back. But if my energy is low, they slowly start disappearing. And it's
Hmm.
just like, wow, like there's this invisible web that everyone's kind of aware of, like you just feel it. Or if the energy is not there, they're not going to come. They're not going to come. If the energy is there, boom, they will come. I find that so fascinating how it works.
Yeah.
Can't force it.
I mean, it makes so much sense, because as you said, in that moment you actually don't really have the capacity to massage. In that moment, I don't really have the capacity to help somebody else get into their childhood trauma, or work through developmental cycles, or explore certain archetypes. It's like, no, I need to figure my own stuff out, like maybe I need to explore some archetypes for myself, or I need to go out in nature, or I need to revisit some situations from childhood to actually
Maybe I need a
release.
massage.
Maybe, maybe Francisco needs a massage, maybe he needs to get some stuff out and get some stuff moving. But it's so interesting, because in those moments actually, and that's, I think, also fascinating. We say like, okay, in a high energy state we attract people, and in a certain way we want to be attractive, and we want to be in that high energy state. But what we oftentimes don't realize is the only way to get there many times is to actually accept ourselves and see ourselves in the low energy state. And so what I've been seeing within myself, and also like clients, people that I work with, people that are around me, that when we're in low energy, we try to create kind of high energy, but it's like you can't fake that shit. And so the interesting thing is like, you're trying to be like, no, no, everything's good, because we think like if we say everything's good, then we're going to attract good things again, but it's like, that's not how it works. It's like actually this avoidance, this resistance to the lower energies, to like the heaviness within your body, or whatever it is that you're experiencing, the darker thoughts, um the lower emotions, the sadness, the anger, the confusion, like all of that, the pain from like past situations, that doesn't want to be avoided. Like that wants to be allowed and accepted and embraced. And if that is integrated into your experience, all of a sudden you go from a resistance energy into an acceptance energy into a love energy, and that is like, oh yeah, now we're really in high energy. But it's very interesting that it's like neither one of those is good or bad. It's like you need both of them, and it is like the flow of energy that makes this whole experience so beautiful. It is the yin and the yang. It is the darkness and the light. So we can't just chase the light, but we gotta actually embrace the darkness as well to really just be in an overall more attractive field for other people to also start realizing that for themselves, that it's like, it's not about being high all the time. It's not about having it all perfect. Like Francisco tells me every time, sometimes I like a Snickers.
You know
It's like
that.
I do the Ayurvedic eating and then I want a Snickers. So it's like it's beautiful to just see. It's like we're not on this, like life and health, I think, is not this linear thing that just keeps growing over and over and over again, or sometimes even exponential. It's more like this. It's more like this sinus that is like the waves going up and down and up and down. And
Totally.
I would say in general, we're moving up. Like in general, if you want to say we're moving up or down, like you can slowly, yeah, go up. But at the end of the day, it's still about embracing the downsides as well, embracing the low moments as well. Because if we get too attached to the high energy, too attached to feeling great all the time, what are we going to do with all the heavy emotions? Like we push them aside and so on. So it's really about learning to navigate both, I would say, like both being available to serve when the energy is high, but then also being willing to serve yourself when the energy is low and when you really need it, and not trying to avoid that, not trying to bypass your own process for helping someone else or for being there and looking good on the outside, whatever it is.
Well, have you heard of the Stoics before? They're like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what year they're popular in, but I know they believed in not, and they didn't want to get too happy and they didn't want to get too sad, just right in the middle. Because they believed that what goes up will come down. If you're super happy, super elated and blissful, you're going to come crashing down and be very sad and very depressed. And then it's going to go up again. And I always
Mm-hmm.
find that really interesting because, of course, it all it all connects with like your hormones and your transmitters, your dopamine, your serotonin levels. And so, if you're super happy and blissful, and say it can happen naturally, or maybe you took a drug that makes you super ecstatic and happy. Well, you're going to release so much dopamine and serotonin that eventually that happiness is going to make you crash and you're going to be so depressed and so sad. And so I always find their belief system very interesting of just like, don't be too excited. Just accept it. Accept everything. Just welcome it, observe it. It is, right? That way you don't crash. That way you're not, oh, I'm so happy. Oh, I'm so sad. No, just keep everything moderate, everything balanced. And I haven't looked too deep into, their belief system or their philosophy, but I know it's not about the extremes. It's always about just keep
Mm-hmm.
everything moderate. I always thought that was really fascinating because it does kind of make sense. What goes up must come down, and the more we are that yin yang energy, so the more different or polarized we are, we're gonna feel it more. But the more in the middle we are, it's like okay, we're gonna stay here. But if we're too here, we're gonna eventually go here,
Yeah,
even though eventually we want to be right here in the center. I don't know, I find that so interesting too.
definitely. And I think this is also just interesting to keep in mind. It is not about feeling super calm all the time, you know? It's like you can feel crazy within yourself. Like you can feel that sadness, you can feel the happiness, you can feel all of those things, but just not getting too attached to them. Like not being like, oh, I'm happy now means I will be happy forever. It's like, no, this is what you just said. It's like we go
The
into
observance.
one direction, we will eventually come back. So it's more how I've seen also now the yin and the yang. It's kind of like we are, or we can learn to be that line between the yin and the yang. And the yin and the yang, like depending where you are on that line, it's not always exactly 50-50. You know, it's not 50% white, 50% dark. It's like depending where you are on that curved line, the ratios are different. But as long as you're on the line, you don't fucking care about the ratio because you know that it is actually okay as it is. You can accept that. You can trust that. It is both working together. It is both part of the bigger whole. And you don't need to avoid one or the other. You don't need to chase one or the other, but you can be on that line no matter what. And I think that is something where the physical, what we put into our body, also like when it comes to the foods, what you said earlier, like the sugars and the saturated fats and whatsoever, what boosts up boosts us up very high, that will come down at a certain moment. And so if we are getting into just eating things that actually stimulate less, we can actually create through our food intake already more of a capacity to be on that line. The same with our phones. You know, it's like if we're constantly scrolling, constantly getting that dopamine, constantly being stimulated, also by any screens actually, we will have more challenging times to be on that observing line. Whereas if we go out in nature more, where it's actually more restoring our kidney essence, where it's more about recalibrating our adrenals, we will automatically have more of an observing attitude towards life, because in nature, things are changing. And sometimes they're changing like in extremes when it goes from like sunshine to a storm or whatsoever. But in general, it's just way less stimulating. It is like embedded in a bigger whole where it's like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, you just get those hits and it's like those, oh my God. And so it's kind of like overall, I think in every area of life, if it comes to food or how we work or how we consume social media or in general what we do throughout our days, it's we can bring more and more things in there that actually strengthen that point of neutrality rather than choosing one of the extremes and getting eventually like you can't really not get attached to them. This is it's just our human nature. It's like we get attached to things. And yes, in yoga there's a lot about non-attachment, but it's like it's a long way there. It's a long way to non-attachment. So it's like just being more in a neutral state makes it easier in a certain way to navigate everything. Where it's like, yeah, there will be things happening, and sometimes you want to have that Snickers, fucking go for it. But just be aware that the Snickers will start some processes within yourself that will make you go zzz, and so eventually you'll go zzz.
Yeah, it's going to spike your blood sugar, then it's going to drop, and
Yes.
just, be mindful of everything. And going back to nature, the beauty of nature is that nature has so many conduits of energy. Rivers, trees, the earth, the grass, everything is just flowing. There's not In the wild, there isn't really stagnation of energy. Everything's flowing smoothly. The plants are doing photosynthesis, the rivers are flowing, the birds are chirping. And if you're on a hike, oh my goodness, it's so healing, it's so amazing. Whereas if you're at home on your phone watching a reel, you are the conduit of energy. You're receiving all the stimulation, you're receiving all this radiation, it's going into your mind, your dopamine levels are being affected, your mood is being affected, your thoughts are being affected. And where is that energy flowing to? In your body, in your mind, in your system. Whereas when you're in nature, The energy is all around you. It's flowing down to the earth. It's flowing up to the heavens. It's flowing down through the rivers. It's flowing through you. You're getting energy. You're receiving energy. You're not being depleted, and everything is just flowing. Everything is cycling. There's more
Hmm.
circulation, and yeah. Whereas the phone, it's just boom in your mind, in your body, and it stays here. And
Yeah.
you gotta release it. You gotta release it. Too much radiation, too much electricity. Gotta touch the earth barefoot. Gotta touch the tree. Gotta find a different conduit of energy to allow that energy to flow.
And gotta also eat things that keep your system in flow as well. It's like
Yeah,
the more
totally.
dry things we eat that soak up actually the liquids in our body, the less flow there will be. The more we eat hydrating
Vacation.
things, the more flow there will be. And so it's kind of really interesting that nature is a very, I mean, it's very
Nature's a teacher.
simple.
She's a
Sorry?
teacher.
Yeah.
Nature is a teacher.
Yeah.
If I think one of the persons who would say this is Montauk Chia, who would talk a lot about like Chine Sang, internal organ massage, and as above, so below. If you want to see, he would say, he would write in his books about massage therapy. If you want to see what's going inside your body, look what's going on around you. And so your environment will also be a reflection of your body. Your body will be a reflection of your mind, right? So everything in the outside is a reflection of what's going on inside and physically. And what I love about, Indian medicine, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, TCM is that they focus a lot on the elements: earth, wind, fire, water. In Chinese medicine, I think they have wood and metal. Different names, same idea, same concepts. And just like the rivers, our blood has to flow, our energy has to flow. Just like the earth, we need the earth element within our body as well. Just like the wind, we need air in our body as well. That's so important. Just like the volcanoes, we need fire. We need to digest our food. So we need all the elements of nature within our body. And so nature is a great teacher. If you want to learn how to heal your body, go on a hike and be observant. Look at how nature heals herself. Look at how nature functions. And that's how you can heal yourself. And that's how you can function. I love going on hikes.
Yes. Stop listening to those two idiots talking on the screen. Go out in nature.
Go on a hike.
I do it every day. It's been so beautiful to be back here in Georgia and have like the mountains around. Like we live in a city, but literally within 5 minutes I'm on a trail,
I love
and
that.
it's so beautiful. It's so good. And sometimes I do it right in the morning, like just to start my day like that. And the rest of the day is like it's very natural. It's very flowing. It's very much in the flow. And oftentimes I don't get all the shit done that is on my to-do list, but it just feels like didn't have to happen today, you know? It's just like it feels perfect. But when I start getting into my to-do list in the morning and the mind's very active and like I'm just getting caught up in there, oftentimes I just need to go out in the afternoon to literally recenter myself and just be like, holy shit, where am I running? You know, like if I don't go out in nature, I so quickly start to run. And I so quickly start to move in ways and at speeds that are not really working with myself in harmony, are not really working with my outside reality in harmony. But of course, there are all those things that my mind wants to achieve and attain and this and that. But then it's like, when do I actually feel most fulfilled and most happy or most calm and neutral? It's like, that's when I'm in nature. That's when I'm surrounded by all those elements and all those energy inputs, but then also outlets, as you described it. It's like it's not just coming into my body and then rushing in there, but it's kind of like it's things are flowing in, things are flowing out, and it's just creating homeostasis by itself. I don't even need to do anything in nature. I don't need to do crazy practices whatsoever. It's like literally just by being there, it does the job for me. And that's just interesting to see. It's like we try to figure everything out by ourselves, more and more becoming independent, strong independent women, strong independent men. Everyone wants to be strong and independent. But then it's kind of like, but it's nice to be interdependent, you know? It's nice to have certain tools. It's nice to have certain environments from the outside being provided to support our healing. And it's like sometimes it comes in the form of a therapist, sometimes it comes in the form of a coach or a mentor or whatsoever. And sometimes it comes in the form of nature. And that's just like where you just don't need anyone else. You just go out there and it's kind of like, oh, fuck, that's really good stuff, you know? That's like really good stuff. No prescription needed, no nothing. And as you said, it's like you learn in a certain way, you learn the ways of nature and you learn the way that nature works. And then it's like, oh, yeah, if it works in nature like that, why would it work differently within myself? I am nature. I am part of nature. Nature is part of me. And so it's a really beautiful idea to combine or to like literally see that they are so intertwined, like healing and nature. It is actually not that we need to force heal ourselves. It is not about stressing out about healing. It is not about worrying about healing, but the healing really just wants to happen the same way that things in nature just want to happen. And if we can do our um, side of not standing in the way of the healing happening, then we're actually pretty good and we're on a pretty good path. But we also got to be honest with ourselves sometimes that we're just really fucking it up for ourselves, that we're just really not allowing healing to happen because we just do things that are not really in harmony with our own system, that are not really in balance. And so I think that taking responsibility that you pointed towards before is really a super important step to then actually feel that power of healing, that empowerment of like, oh, I can heal myself. It's like, yeah, take responsibility and see that if you're not healthy, you might be interfering with health because health wants to be. Health is a natural state.
Yeah, and to remember that healing is constantly taking place all the time
Yeah.
within our bodies, within the earth. It's always taking place. So, are we going to help it with the right foods, with the right thoughts, with the right routines, or are we going to get in the way? And whether or not, whatever we do, healing will always take place, but we can facilitate the process or we can prolong the process. The longer we prolong the process, the more difficult it is to heal, the more tired the body's going to get. But again, we are our own healers. But I feel like that's the number one thing. You are your best healer. And so it's definitely up to you what decisions you want to make, how you want to live your life, what you want to do. And yeah, finding the answer is always in nature. And why not always seeking people for support as well? I believe in that. Finding therapists, finding family for support, finding friends for support, and knowing that we don't have to heal by ourselves. Absolutely not. We have an amazing ecosystem of diverse animals, including us, and we can seek support out there. Whether it's a dog, whether it's a human, whether else
Mm-hmm.
walk out in nature seeking birds or whatever, there's healers everywhere. But it all begins with us.
Yeah. So if people want to seek you out for healing support, how does that work? Like you do right now in LA, you do massages and yoga classes, right? So yeah, tell us a little bit more about what you do, what you offer right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm basically all over the LA area, Orange County as well, i.e., offering yoga, offering massages, and I'm pretty active on Instagram, and so I get a lot of contacts through Instagram, and that's how I yeah meet with people. I have a studio location in Orange County, and then I travel to people's homes as well within like the Inland Empire, Los Angeles, Southern California, and I host events around the area. Some of the events that I host are sound healing, and that's just another way of healing, just through sound. And so,
Hmm.
I do individual sessions and I do group sessions, and they're all very different. Individual is nice because people open up more. People cry more when they're alone too, which I love. I
Hmm.
love when people have that emotional release. And then in group sessions, people cry too, but not as often, And in group sessions, it's different. It's a different energy. And so I welcome all of that. And this is what I do. And this is how I've been healing my body. Um, I've been healing my body through yoga, through nutrition, through sound healing, through massages. This is what I receive, and this is what I share with others because it's something that's really worked with me. It's
Hmm.
something that's worked for me, and so it's my passion to share with others. And and I think it's important to find aspects of healing physically through yoga, through exercise, through movement, through hiking, but also finding healing through sound, through music, and finding healing through touch, like massage
Hmm.
therapy and herbs too. Oh my goodness, herbs are amazing, teas are amazing. But I mean, there's just so many outlets for healing, and
Yes.
we can choose which outlet we want.
Is there a possibility for people who are not in the LA area to reach out to you online and get like an online consultation to just see what kind of pathway of healing you would recommend for
Absolutely.
them? Yeah?
Absolutely. And I love doing online consultations. And they can reach me on Instagram at, Francisco Therapy, or TikTok. Um, and yeah, they can get in touch with me. And I've done, online consultations with them, 15, 30 minutes. Oftentimes they linger longer because the consultation opens up to a lot of emotion, a lot of boom, so much. It's incredible, right? How everything just begins to open up. It's so beautiful. But absolutely, yeah, reaching out to me through online, and then we can definitely do some work online together. Absolutely.
Beautiful. So yeah, if you want to open up your own capacity to heal and want to have some support from Francisco, go check him out.
Francisco
I
Therapy, I'm here for you.
yes.
I'm here
Yes.
for you. This is my passion. This is my joy.
And I personally received also like massages and therapy like when we were in Sri Lanka together. And holy shit, that stuff was just the best stuff. Honestly, like he's like the fucking, I don't know, therapy dealer number one. I was always so high as a kite when I came out of your massages and like felt so good. Like also you did that navel treatment on me. Like that, what was it? Na
Chi
Yeah,
Ne San.
Chi Ne San, that thing. And it was painful in the process, but afterwards it was so freeing. Like there was so much more space being created within my gut area. Like it was so like both physically and emotionally. Like I felt a lot coming out. Like I felt a lot of emotions traveling through my body that have been stuck within my intestines and within my stomach and like that I was holding on to. And so wow. Yeah, if you get the chance to experience an in-person treatment with Francisco, definitely go for it. It's definitely divine hands working, divine hands at work. So highly recommend that, and also just talking with him, being with him, it's truly a blessing. So Thank you so much,
Side
brother.
effects.
It's
Thank you, Tim. I do seek out therapy too, and so I feel it from other
yeah.
people. And that's what I believe in. Like, if you're gonna share therapy, make sure you've received it before by someone.
Hmm.
Like, don't just do Thai massage because you think it's cool. Do it because you've received it before plenty of times and that you want to share it with someone. Don't just, yeah, receive it first and then see if you're ready to share it with other people. If you're ready to share it, then start learning it, you know? And so all these therapies that I do on people, whether some of them are nice and relaxing, some of them are deep and therapeutic, which means it can hurt a little bit. But everything that I share, I've received. I've laughed like a crazy man during a massage. I've cried during massages. I've laughed in yoga. I've cried in yoga. I've gone crazy in sound healing. When someone has a sound healing, my body has like shaken up and like moved
Hmm.
on its own. Like boom, like the body's incredible. So everything that I share, I've received many times, and I know how powerful everything can be. And so that's my therapy, Francisco therapy. I share it.
Francisco therapy, living therapy. You see Francisco and you'll be healed.
Call me. Let's heal. Let's heal.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Everyday Ceremony. If you were able to get something out of it, or it just brought you some joy, some inspiration, some empowerment, make sure to give us a 5-star rating so that we can grow this show organically and bring it to an ever-growing audience. And also share it with individuals who you think could really benefit from this episode. I'm so grateful to have you as a part of this journey. I wish you a wonderful day and I see you in the next episode. Bye bye.